A Link to the Past Randomize Your League Season 5 continues with this second matchup between You Got Poutine on My Cheesesteak and Tipsy Tavern Toasters. Hi everybody, I'm Adirondack Creek being joined by the Professor Renderer. How you doing?
Hello, I am doing really, really well today.
Well, that's wonderful. So, coming up here is this matchup that is about to begin for both of these teams. And in race number one, and in fact, we are just about to begin right here. Here we go. As they split up their duties, we find some money over at Link's house, and we do find less money over at the sanctuary. So both of these teams are going to go ahead and split up their duties. Poutine ended up getting the win. Poolfloat G and Jirok were the two members of Poutine in race number one, wound up getting the win over. I believe it was Keg in the Closet and Drunk Future Self who was representing the Tipsy Tavern Toasters.
Yeah, so they already have some points on the board over on the side of you got poutine on my cheesesteak in the Eastern Palace division.
Yeah, so what wound up happening in the match here is Tipsy Tavern Toaster wound up having a couple of unfortunate circumstances that wound up setting them behind, as we do see only a fiver on the lumberjack ledge. So nothing really spectacular as far as the options are concerned here at the Hyrule Castle. We've learned that Dark Palace is going to be our green pendant, compliments of greycorvid. And we got ourselves a map check. I do see a red crystal at the Tower of Heron. It looked like Eastern was a regular crystal.
We're on the side of Great Corvid. There was just he did just do a Saha check, just a bunch of heart pieces. Nothing too special there.
Yeah, so right now the question is what do you do if you are Poolflow G? You're looking like you're gonna go into the castle, but there's not really much that Poolflow G can do. He can head to this map chest, but he's gonna get locked out because he's got no way of killing that guard.
Right. And this is probably just to get one check out of the way. Um, I would, if I was doing this check, I would probably have some bombs going in. And actually, speaking of which, we do have bombs, but nothing in the way to get the second. Well, you can get up to the boomerang chest, but that's all you can really do.
Well, you can get it up to the boomerang chest if you are very, very precise with your three bombs that you have. You have to be perfect, otherwise you're not going to get to that boomerang check. We do see the hook shot in the back of the tavern, both Keg in the Closet and Iceman finding out, relaying the words over to their teammates. And I think the big idea here for Poofo G, he didn't have any bombs, so he doesn't want to do the eastern area. He doesn't want to go to the village because that's where Iceman is at this point in time, as we do see Keg and Iceman purchasing some bombs at this point in time.
Yeah. So while
Oh,
ooh,
that's an interesting lamp location right there inside of Eastern Palace.
yeah, that does eliminate the logic that states that Fire Rod is possible for the back of escape, back of Eastern rather, if the big key is not in its vanilla location.
So we are seeing heart pieces aplenty. I know there's a whole bunch of heart pieces in the pool in this game, but I think we've got probably about a quarter of them out of the way already. We got ourselves a bottle inside of the well. That's good for the upcoming check for Sick Kid.
It does have a B in it. We'll see if that does lead to like a good B, because that will give him an automatic 100 rupees.
Yeah, that would be a good. Also, you could use that. I mean, we've got the hook shot here in this village, so it's not that big of a deal. You would be probably able to use that as a weapon against the mini Moldorms, but again, we have the hook shot that can kill them right here. We are looking at Blind's Hut, 5 items inside. You're going to relay the word of where they are, what chests are important. Top left is really important. Bottom left, you're going to grab that while you're here because you don't know how many hearts you're going to get in all. And, well, if you go in without bombs, there you go, top left, or top right, rather. And, oh, that's definitely important. You want that.
Yeah, it if in that situation, I probably would just say you might as well just get everything out of there. There is some merit in picking up a lot of them because you have pretty much all the checks because you have a heart piece, you have a heart container. Um,
The the important thing, Render, is the fact that you can tell your partner if you have no bombs, don't worry, there's 3 in one of the chests. So therefore, don't worry if you go in without any.
yeah, that's one big thing, and especially considering Pool Flow G only has a few
Oh,
bombs to their name.
this is getting dicey here for Gray Corvid. He's down to 1 heart, so he cannot damage boost. He's having a hard time taking care of this Daphos. He cannot pretty much just run into the bomb himself. Needed to allow these anti-fairies to move away. Still needs to avoid them when they actually do separate. Oh, yes, just like that.
Yeah, that's one of the tricky things about that. If you don't have hearts to damage boost to the pot, it looks like Great Corvid is electing to just leave the big key chest alone.
And in that case, you hope that there's nothing important inside of there because that could turn into a very, very damaging location if it turns out to be your next stage of progression. Because when have you ever died and left behind something as a last location and it's something that progresses the seed?
Yeah, that happens to pretty much everyone.
Exactly. Back 3 check here for Iceman. Back 3 check coming up here for Keg in the Closet as well. We find ourselves some literature. We find ourselves a swirly coin. And we find ourselves the key. Now, they don't have the knowledge about that lamp. So they are not opting to go to Dark Cross at this point in time.
Yeah, in the case of there is having a hook shot for the back is nice, although you would much rather have a sword rather than just like a Y item, just for navigation.
Well, the bigger thing here is that key rack can get out of control, and the last thing you want to have to do is play the game of chasing down that key rat.
Oh, for sure, because if you let that key rat run along way longer, then you're gonna be in that you're gonna be down in the sewers for quite a bit.
You're going to be hitting your life decisions at that point in time. We see Pool Flow G cleaning up the blinds hut from all the things that Iceman has told him. Iceman checking Agina, which is a very early check here. So is there something here in this Sphere 1 location? And the answer is not really. That piece of heart's not going to be required to move on to the next stage of the progression cycle. Pool Flow G grabbing that hook shot. Now, there's something that is in logic, obviously, that Poutine does not know at this point in time, but Tipsy Tavern Toasters, as they're starting to get more and more items, will realize it's going to be in logic. And that is a climb to the mountain, Paradox, Spiral Cave. All of those are getting into logic because of that lamp that is found in Eastern.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about what the situation with Tipsy Tavern Toasters is. You have a good chunk of the mountain available to you. Of course, we don't have mirror or hammer to get over to the Hera side of the mountain, but there's still quite a number of checks that you can still do with just what you have alone.
So, Professor Renderer, let's go ahead and figure out the reason why this seed gave us a book. Is it to get something inside of this desert? The question will be answered really, really soon, but Grey Corvid is going to be going up to the mountain. We got ourselves the big key early here.
So that does, once we have a fire source, that does at least give you the back.
Mm-hmm. It will be a beatable dungeon for the like of Grey Corvid. However, Iceman and Pool Flow G are currently missing that fire source. We do get ourselves a small key. We saw the compass was on the torch. So we are guaranteed to pick up 1 item, if not 2, coming up over here on the right-hand side. Pool Flow G doing fake flippers, heading over to the man under the bridge. And a good point by chat, we still do need a weapon to beat Lamola at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of important. You need a weapon to actually take down
Oh,
Lambo.
there we go. There's a sword right there on the man underneath the bridge. Poolfloat G gets that. We'll relay the word to Iceman. We get both items out of this desert. So the book was not needed to move to the next stage of progression that we know of at this point. Of course, there's still the 2 tablets.
Yeah, that's convenient timing by pool floats just to
Oh, there's
get that.
Titans.
Okay, that is Dark World access.
Illegal Dark World access, but it is Dark World access at this point in time. So the question mark now becomes, how are we supposed to get to that? Obviously, the flippers are going to show up somewhere. Maybe greycorvid will help find out that answer for us.
Right, as we start this Paradox Cave check, Pool Float G will get the mitts.
And relaying that word to Iceman, who's probably going, how are we supposed to get to that? All right, so this check here for KegInTheCloset and soon Poolfloat G is in logic. However, 20 rupees, yippee.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Just save and quit and move on.
And so far, Paradox Cave, there's the flippers. That puts that in logic. So we needed the lamp out of Eastern to pick up those flippers out of Paradox Cave to pick up the Titans Mint, and therefore that is our Dark World access.
At least with the lamp, it's not too far away. Like you're heading. Iceman's heading to Eastern now, so Poo Team will get the information about that.
Please be careful, Tipsy Tavern. There we go. Still need to get over to Spiral Cave at this stage. All right, Poolful G's trying to figure out what to do next at this point, and pretty soon Iceman will tell him what he needs to do. That Tektite loves to try to hop on you over there, and so far Tipsy Tavern had none of it. Still needs to get to this next chest, and there it does get a little bit of a life to help extend time a little bit here.
This is gonna be the last check that greycorvid does on the mountain, because we got through all of the East Step mountainside that we can do right now.
Blue mail right there, that's good. I was more concerned about the fact that that could turn into another loose location, just like he had with the Eastern Big Chest, because he took that death in that room there, leaving that behind. So that was my main concern there. As Iceman gets the lamp, and now Poolfloat G knows what this logic chain is supposed to be, but he's now going to go ahead and see what we have inside Hyrule Castle. This is our first real look at Hyrule Castle coming up here after he made it down here the first time around, got nothing out of it.
Yeah, so with that sword in hand, that does mean that we can get the remaining 2 checks from the front of Escape.
So right now, while we are covering each other's footsteps at this point in time, we'll go ahead and introduce the runners of these 2 teams. Poolfloat G played in the first race. He is playing as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sprite, currently set to Michelangelo, but will change its name as we wind up getting the male upgrades. Iceman is playing as Link. What a surprise. KegInTheCloset's playing as Rocco. I'm not sure who greycorvid is playing as.
Bob Ross.
Oh, nice. He'll be pinging some happy clouds over there. Dark World map check. We have a green pendant over the Palace of Darkness. We have a blue pendant over at the Skull Woods. And tracker notes, Thieves Town is a pendant as well. Misery Mire is the other of the 5-6 crystals. Oh! Uh-oh.
That's a problem.
Now, that's a deeper in the logic right there, but that is something that greycorvid's going to be without for a little bit until his teammate gets into that dungeon with the bow.
yeah, if you're getting one of the rods here, and in the situation that we saw from greycorvid, him dying when trying to avoid the anti-fairies, that does mean that that's ice rod is going to be left out for quite a bit, or whatever it was.
Yeah. How big of a problem that's going to be, we'll have to see as time moves along in this seed. Nice use of the full magic refill there for Keg in the Closet as Iceman is about to go up to the mountain, see where that lamp leads him. Now, one thing unfortunate here for Iceman is he did not pull out those Titans mitts. Didn't pull out those Titans mitts, so therefore he's now signing himself up to another trip up the mountain to get to Hookshot Cave later on.
I guess that is a problem. But
It's unfortunate routing. This is a case where having a teammate and co-op is going to help you out, but it would be beneficial play if he was able to clear out what was on the Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave as well.
Right. I think problem wasn't the word I was looking for. As more so, it's just an inconvenience.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying there. It's not a fatal mistake. This is just unfortunate.
Right. It's if it was routed where you get the bits just from doing the fake flipper, that would be fine. It's just that the logic just has to point you in that direction. That sets you up for a reclimb of the mountain just to get to Dark Death Mountain.
Well, Iceman's going to be finding the flippers over here, and then we'll probably be going, well, I should have grabbed those Titans mitts at that stage. All right, we get ourselves some new checks coming up over here. We do see ourselves at the Dark World for both Keg in the Closet and Pool Float G. We would just check the chest game, nothing there. Keg in the Closet's taking the safe route over to the big chest right now, and we'll get nothing but a compass out of that. There's the boots in the sea house.
Okay, we can actually have better. We'll have faster movement for once. Oh, that's not just hookshot.
And that is something that you relay to your teammate. Make sure they know where to get that. And there's the ether coin inside of the brewery as Iceman picks up and lets Pool Float G know where the flippers are. For those of you who have not been keeping up with what's going on here with this week 1 mode, it's co-op all dungeons, which means you have to do all the dungeons, including Agus Tower and Ganon's Tower. In addition, this is an info share where both of the runners are in a voice call together. They're going to be sharing, hey, this is where this thing is. That's where this thing is. You need to go here. You need to go there. The winner is determined by the average finishing time amongst the two. So the team that has the fastest average time, that is the team that will be getting the credit for the win and the 3 points as such.
And this also applies to the other 2 co-op modes that we have for this season.
Week number 4 with the co-op Rentrance, and then week number 7 with the co-op Miser. So far we have seen the small key, we've seen the big key, and how many items have we seen in this first 4? Of Thieves Town, because of course we've seen only 2 non-key items.
I wasn't paying too much attention to this, but there is one. Looking off of Keg in the Closet.
Yeah. Because I think that does take a little bit of a concern when you do dive in here without the hammer. Of course, the hammer could very well be in Blind's cell, and, well, you feel like a heel when you last location that. Iceman about to get the sword over here.
So what it looked like was from the front of was you got one item.
So much fun. Ooh, you don't really want to mess around with the crickets too much. They do 2 hearts of damage, so Pool Float G now down to 3.
Hey,
Keg in-
go ahead.
I was just about to say that Keg in the Closet's about to go pick up the ether.
Right, and there's something that caught me. That was interesting to me was that Keg in the Closet chose to leave the first 4 out, which that's understandable. You don't have hammers. You don't want to leave an item out of Thieves Town.
Ooh. That's a nice fairy prize right there with the blue goo for Iceman, getting that out of the waterfall cave. Nice savings of 160 rupees right there. Keg in the Closet's going to... Oh, the dig number 1 for bombs.
Yeah, and in the grates in the pretty much the best spot you can get it to if you can get the shovel on the like right by the NPC.
Also, good point there by chat. Keg in the Closet has not picked up a sword, so he has 0 way of defeating blind.
Yeah, and that makes more sense as well, considering that he's the only of the. Ooh, okay,
that's a fire rod right there on Stumpy.
So this is Kick is the only one of the 4 that doesn't have a sword.
And greycorvid now going to go ahead and pick up this fire rod too. But this is unfortunate for Tipsy Tavern Toaster because they're now pretty much just stalking each other. And one of the biggest things in co-op mode is you want to try to stay away from each other as much as possible. Obviously, there's going to be bottlenecks where you have to be following in your teammates' footsteps. However, this right here is unfortunate for the Tipsy Tavern Toasters. Oh, red cane there. And another sword.
That at least is not unfortunate. You got yourself another male upgrade, you got Samaria, and then you have your second sword.
Oh, Poofochi gets it down. 1 heart remaining on blind. Without blind on the script, too. Clutch fight there for Pool Float G. Getting pendant number 1 for his team.
Very clutch fight, definitely.
As Keg in the Closet is about to go see what the breadsmith yields for us. And Pool Float G is going to head on down to the south while Iceman is checking Catfish, which is a new check for us, as greycorvid is going to be going into King's Tomb, which is also a new check for us. Yo! That's a bow.
So that actually might help Tipsy Tavern Toasters because that ice rod is still sitting there in the big key chest of Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
And that with the bow, there is a reason to go and finish what you left behind. So that ice rod might be picked up just in maybe in a couple, whenever it comes up, that is.
So one unfortunate thing here for Pool Float G at this point is that he did save with the breadsmith. He is not checking Stumpy. He's not checking K45, so he will not get the fire rod just yet. He will not get the Master Sword upgrade, nor will he wind up getting the red mail as well. Keg in the Closet is about to... This will be the Master Sword coming up. By the way, greycorvid now has Tempered Sword.
Right. Because of the sword that we saw from Hype Cave, and we did see one from, I think that was Bonk Rocks.
Yes, indeed. Bonk Rocks was where greycorvid was able to pick up the Tempered Sword. There's the Master Sword for Pool Float G. As Iceman now is unfortunately going to be heading here to the Palace of Darkness without a bow in his possession, so therefore setting himself up for a double dip. But of course, his team does not know of this detail. Well, they actually do know of that possible detail right now, but Iceman's going to go in, see if he can't at least get the hammer out of this. So KegInTheCloset now getting that bow. Wouldn't be surprised if KegInTheCloset goes on to the Eastern duty at this point. Small key and shooter room.
We can at least continue without having to pick up the bow.
And Iceman does have the blue goo, so it's going to be a question mark to see if he's going to invest in that in order to do the bottle glitch.
Right, because potion camera unlock is something that you can do to get to the right side.
All right. greycorvid has the tempered sword, but this is not a free fight coming up here next for blind. Or not blind, but Mothula.
Yeah, I was going to say Mothula.
That dungeon boss that's standing in front of him right now. All right. 6 hearts here. Every hit by the sprite of Mothula or the fireballs that it spawns does 2 hearts damage, but so far a pretty solid fight. Unfortunately, the beam swords are not really helping out, but we do get the fight tackled care of here. And looks like Iceman's going to be doing the mimic clip here.
This is something that I'll be honest, I refuse to learn, but all the power to the people who can actually do it. This is unbuffered too.
Yep. I think he has a setup there where he just tries to do little clips of the down and right buttons in order to get it out of the area, and there you go. That was pretty solid, pretty fast too. I mean, earlier we did have a race that had a blocked bow, so... Oh, hammer!
Ooh. That's big. So you do need to get that bow from King's Tomb to get that hammer.
And it's interesting that Iceman has not decided to continue any further, but that's because he knows where the bow is, and so therefore he's going to go ahead and pick that up. So I guess at this stage, you might as well at least do that, especially now that you know your partner has found 2 additional swords.
Right, and they're pretty accessible too. I mean, the one from Hype Cave, and you're gonna get Samaria out of it, and then you have the one from Bonk Rocks. So it's pretty easy tempered.
And to be honest, Renderer, this is a much easier tempered sword coming up here for Iceman, because he does have that bow, so he does have access to that portal right outside of Link's house.
Correct. Yeah. Even though, it is at least up until Iceman got the bow, it was out of logic, but that does make getting that Samaria and sword much faster.
And there he goes to home, and we'll probably see him pick that up now and go back in for round number 2. Now that we can finish this dungeon off, Iceman's inside, or rather Pool Float G's going inside of Eastern. Iceman's going to be heading over to Hype Cave. KegInTheCloset getting the 2 items over here on the right side of Desert, heading over to the Lamb Moldas. And greycorvid is going to be heading to the back here. Now, I did not keep track of the items inside of this dungeon, this Thieves' Town. So I don't know if there's anything inside of that big chest.
From what I saw from the front, there's 3 items in the back. So it item to confirm that you do need a hammer to get every item out. Of which we did see from greycorvid, so that does mean that a hammer was going to be necessary to get every single item out, because the big chest is going to have something.
And that now means 2 people have finished off with this Thieves Town, so it would appear that Iceman will be on finding out what that big chest does have, at least for Poutine. We'll see if that turns out to be the same for KegInTheCloset as well. Iceman, knowing he does not have to deal with the Breadsmith chain, or at least that we know of. Needs to get that ether out of the brewery at some point in time, but Hammer Peg's coming up here, new check to us.
This is something you can get on the side before you head over to Thieves Town and then eventually the brewery to get the ether medallion.
Agreed. So we find ourselves a interesting place for that powder. No mirror to go ahead and immediately check it.
Yeah, it would have been a convenient powder had we had mirror.
Absolutely. And maybe that's the reason why Iceman isn't touching the Breadsmith chain either, is because he knows that he doesn't have the mirror at this point. All right, so Iceman's going to be going into this Thieves Town, which will give us the answer very shortly in regards to what's in that big chest.
Yeah, and this is something that Pool Float will get information about, and it will take him a little bit to get back to the big chest in Thieves Town, because it is buried pretty deep. But if it has something, that is something that's going to get relayed to him, and that will be a significant advantage that that Poutine had from getting the hammer from the Bullock side.
And there is the map pickup for Pool Float G, picking up the first crystal of this game, actually, or second crystal of this game. KegInTheCloset picked up the crystal to Desert Palace. So it is for the Poutine, they have 2 dungeon bosses down. For Tipsy Tavern Toasters, they have 3 bosses down. Still a whole lot more to go through on this seed, however. We have, 12 bosses we need to do?
Yep, 12 bosses in total.
Well, 12 dungeons, that is, yeah.
Well, 12 dungeons, yeah.
I'm still curious to whether or not there is anything currently sitting up on that mountain on EDM. Or DD, or Eastern Dark Death Mountain.
Dark Death Mountain, yeah.
DDM. That's what I mean. I know what I mean. I don't say what I mean.
Right. I get what you were trying to say, though.
Brain and lips are 2 different things.
That's that I can attest to.
A lot of people can attest to that.
So, yeah, we haven't seen a Dark Death Mountain check at all from any of our 4 runners. So that will be something that will come up probably in the near future. Although KegInTheCloset,
nice Kern jump for Pool Float G.
Yeah, very nicely performs. KegInTheCloset might be our first one to have it, to be able to do it. Still does not have a means to get to Hera. greycorvid will head to Pod and will get the information that this is a French vanilla hammer.
All right, here's the critical check coming up here for Iceman. All right, well, you're not going to be too sad to find out from your teammate that there's a heart container in that big chest. You know you're not going to get it, but you're not sad that you have to go back in.
Right, and that's something that is something that at least it's a good sigh of relief. Although they don't know, although Typical Tavern Toasters doesn't know about this, and if they're watching back this is something that, like when they're done racing, that this is something that they can at least breathe a sigh of relief about.
That Peggy is a fan of the hammer. I didn't even notice that statement there from Blind.
Yeah, I took note of that. I've been seeing it a couple times as recently, but that is a pretty cute line.
There's the flippers for Keg in the Closet, as we do see greycorvid and Pool Float G both inside of this Palace of Darkness, as greycorvid is soon going to find out for his team that the hammer is over here. So yes, for those of you who didn't get to see it on Iceman's side, there is a hammer inside of this Palace of Darkness. It is behind the mimics. Pool Float G is about to show it to us, coming up here in about 25 seconds. Maybe even sooner than that.
greycorvid will also reveal that too, as KegInTheCloset will be the first one to do Dark Death Mountain.
So there's the hammer for Pool Float G, and the hammer coming up here for greycorvid as well. Now, for these two, they're going to finish this dungeon, finish what Iceman did not start the first time around, when it was a wise decision for Iceman. 2, because you already knew that the bow was already out of the circulation because of King's Tomb. But the question is there another bow in this dungeon?
Now
No, there's not, because there it is in Super Bunny.
Okay, that's some nice silvers. But this is a little trouble for Tipsy Tavern Toasters, because when you got the hammer, you still have to do Eastern, and because of the lack of mirror, that is isolated.
So, an interesting note just found over there in Keg in the Closet. It is Bombo's entry into Turtle Rock, and based on the items we have seen from all streams combined, it is a clearable Turtle Rock at this stage.
Although,
Gold Sword in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, okay, we take those. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to. I don't know if I paid too much attention. I think we saw. I don't know if we saw flutes from greycorvid and Pool Floor, or this was just that 5 rupees. I couldn't tell. Oh, yep. Our tracker did confirm that the flute was found in the rupee basement of Pod.
So if my notes are starting to line up here, we may, Quake dependent, be a mirror away from Go Mode.
And to answer a question from the chat, the Ice Rod is in Eastern Palace Big Key chest, and that is something that Tipsy Tavern Toasters don't have information about, because greycorvid took a death while trying to clear out the big key chest room with just bombs and only one heart. It took a death on antivirus.
Just to make a comment about what somebody's asking in chat, so Iceman did go to the pod. It was around the same time that Pool Float G found the bow inside of the King's Tomb. So as such, Hammer found that, so he decided, I'm going to go ahead and leave this to you for later. And so here Pool Float G is going to be inside. And so Pool Float G now is going to be going to the Homicide King. So too is greycorvid. because of Pool Float G's key counts, he had to go this way as opposed to going through the front door. Looks like Keg in the Closet's making a beeline over here to the Palace of Darkness to go grab that flute.
Right, and with the information that we found that Grey Corvid had discovered, this is not only to get the flute but also the hammer.
So new checks coming up here for Iceman as he is inside of this ice palace. I think it's safe to say at this point in time that Iceman does indeed have that fire rod.
Iceman heading into Ice Palace.
Big key early on, so you're going to relay that word to your teammate, so that way you know how to set up the upcoming icebreaker. Alisar King is down for greycorvid.
Just the remaining dungeon item, but that also means Green Pendant was acquired. Now, considering that the Green Pendant was found in Pod, that might be one way for Tipsy Tavern Toasters to get that ice rod. But it's gonna depend on how they decide to go back towards that area.
I agree. And I do have to shout out the comment in chat that says Pool Float floats, Iceman ices. Referring to Pool Float doing the curtain jump earlier. And of course, the fact that Iceman is currently inside of Ice Palace. So activation of the flute here for greycorvid. Activation of the flute as well for Pool Float G. At this point in time, do you head to Meyer, relay that word to your teammate? I think the answer has to be yes.
Yeah, this is this is very very clear. That you head over to the Meyer to reveal whether or not you need that quake.
And it is Bombos. So that ether is not essential, and Poolful G will not relay that word to Iceman. Instead, he flutes back to 3.
Okay, the double bombos is nice. So this is something that greycorvid will head into.
So what that means, by the way, Renderer, we are just a pesky little mirror away from no mode at this point.
Correct. Yes. This has been, to be fair, this is co-op, so this makes it look pretty quick. But it's nice knowing that you're just under 45 minutes in, and you're all like these other from the side of Tipsy Tavern Toasters. You at least know that you don't need to worry about the bombos. If collectively, it's nice to know that 45 minutes in, we just need mirror.
Well, it's good to be able to relay to your teammate how many more items you are away from go mode, which also, you know, keeping an eye on things like that means that you know that you are going to be automatically go moding Swamp Palace. And a bottle is the reward. Therefore, Iceman completes the Ice Palace play. Pool Float G still sticking away from the Meyer area for now. As we get the purple chest check The whole bunch of 5 rupees inside of it.
So that mirrorless pitching didn't come up with anything, but Pool Float will go ahead and get some potions. This Yes, usually a sign that you're heading to ice, or in this case, looks like going up the mountain. My hunch is this might be a play for Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock's a possibility. The mire that greycorvid is also a possibility. There's another possibility that hasn't been discussed yet. Well, of course, there's also the green pendant turn-in. We do have everything in our toolkit in order to pull a certain thing in the Lost Woods.
Pedestal, correct. Yeah, that is something that it can pop up. Although it would, considering the Turtle Rock play is more likely because it's I would say more likely, but it's more so it's 5 items to 1 away from go mode. So pulling like a mirror in this situation would be more reasonable to suspect.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that one. Looks like we're getting the Ice Pass play here from KegInTheCloset. Meanwhile, greycorvid's continuing to search things out. They have not located that ice rod yet. Neither member has been returning or has come back to the Eastern Palace play. But Poofo G with all the tools in his kit to head into this Turtle Rock.
And yeah, this was something that it was either going to be ice or it was going to be Turtle Rock.
Poofo G is about to relay word to Iceman where the silvers are, as you'll get them here in Super Bunny Cave. That's a solid bomb setup, just missed one for KegInTheCloset.
Yeah, and this is a little awkward to hear that the silvers were on Super Bunny Cave when Iceman is doing Armos, but at least you still get the quick kill, so that's not too bad. It would have been nice to have the silvers for that fight, though.
That is a pretty solid quick kill there for Iceman. And there's also another location that we have not talked about where the mirror could be. What do you think I'm thinking of, Professor Renderer?
Hera?
The Tower of Hera, indeed. You're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. That hammer unlocks your access to that dungeon at this point.
Yeah, and this was something that we were talking about earlier because we did have access to the Hera area of the mountain, but only about a few minutes ago did we know that. Did we discover that information?
Absolutely. But the critical juncture now, is there something inside of this ice or this Turtle Rock? We found a key inside of the compass chest. Being able to share things with your teammate, that is a really, really tough thing to do. It's one of the underlying things about these co-op weeks. Communication, how you communicate with your teammate, is critical. Letting your teammate know where exactly you are. Making sure that this is what you got coming up here. This is how many dungeons you have done. Hey, look, I currently have 1 crystal dungeon and 2 pendants done. Oh, I have 2 dungeons, 2 crystals and 2 pendant dungeons done. Things like that. It's
There it is.
Critical information, as Poofo G does get that mirror inside of Turtle Rock. But they don't know they are in go mode yet.
Right. and because we haven't seen the fact that we haven't seen either one of Poutine go to go up to the Mire area to confirm that this is a double bombos.
That's correct. Now, Iceman knows where Ether is. However, yeah, Poofo is going to be searching up the rest of this dungeon, trying to figure out where exactly maybe the Quake is. Like, if you find the Quake, then you are 100% in go mode.
Right. At least they will be pleasantly surprised to know that that once they get over to the Mire area, they are in proper go mode. And to answer a question in the chat, Ice Rod was in the Eastern Palace Big Key chest.
Tipsy Tavern Toaster's greycorvid is heading up the mountain. This is not looking good for somebody who has access to a turtle or a turtle rock but cannot beat this dungeon.
Right, and this was something that has been mentioned quite a bit in this race alone, because of the fact that greycorvid had taken that death during the big key room of Eastern Palace. They have not known that they have an ice rod just sitting there on the table.
Absolutely. Now, to be fair to greycorvid, this was with 3 hearts and inside of an Eastern Palace that you couldn't finish off yet at the very, very beginning of the seed. Just could not get the invincibility frames to work out in his favor.
So we are seeing the hair play from greycorvid as Iceman is dealing with Helmassar King.
So Iceman still has to go ahead and activate the flute. So I'm thinking at this point, based on where we are, that Iceman activates the flute, checks out the Mire area, sees if he's in go mode or not.
Go ahead.
I was just about to say, neither team is in go mode at this point. We are in no mode. These runners, they're not in go mode yet.
Exactly, and I think this is the right time for Iceman to go ahead and activate that flute, find out about the about Mire's medallion, because as we are seeing the flute activation like on the way for Iceman, this is after this flute activation is going to go out. This is more likely going to be a flute over to the Mire area. And just to get the information about where what the medallion is.
And when Iceman sees that the medallion is going to be Bombos, then he will know that his team is in go mode. Little do they know that Tipsy Tavern Toasters, they are not in go mode at this point. They are still searching for the ice rod that is sitting in the eastern big key chest.
Right, we are getting that flute's been activated. We are gonna see a magic bat check. This is something you do along the way.
Poofo G checking the laser bridge. No safeties for him. We did see the safety by way of the cape turned out to be in the Tower of Hera. Ooh, gotta be careful there, Poofo G. Now's the time you want a safety door.
Quake was picked up from the magic bats.
Oh, so that means at this point, no matter what that medallion is, you got poutine on my cheesesteak. They are in collective go mode. Iceman knows where that ether is. He's going to find out that he has the medallion. Good use of the safety door for Poofo G as he takes a fall off that laser bridge. And there it is. Iceman getting confirmation. Bombos is there. He's in go mode. Do not check anything else.
Yeah, at 54 minutes in, Iceman is in go mode. And by extension, you got poutine on my cheesesteak.
How does poutine on your cheesesteak taste?
I have never had poutine, so I wouldn't know.
Maybe we'll have to ask them at the end of this race. Pooflo G going to go ahead and powder some anti-fairies. Good decision. Getting really bothered here in the zoo.
So, as Iceman is about to get past the Mire 2, Float is on the way to the Trinex fight. And this is going to be a very, very fast fight with the Gold Sword in tow.
Yep, switches over to the Fire Rod before the first head gets that final hit. Now just has to wait out. It's a one cycle of a Trinex as Iceman is trying to find out where the big key is. Just because you're in go mode doesn't mean you're done sharing that information. Now it's time to start cleaning up some dungeons. 5 dungeons for Iceman, 3 dungeons for Pooflo G. Pooflo G now done with his 4th. On the other side, it is also 5 and 4, and greycorvid looks like he's about to go into Turtle Rock. There's one thing I'm scared of at this point.
What is that?
If he thinks that mirror means he has to go through swamp to get that ice rod.
Yeah, this is going to really hurt. By picking up that mirror, this
But there is a possibility maybe he gets that and leaves. Iceman forgot to knock down the switches. Let's play here for Pooflo G. Before greycorvid goes into Turtle Rock, he's going to get these silvers.
as Keg enters the back of Skull Woods, just to take down Mafula.
Here are the silvers for greycorvid coming up here, top right chest. There they are.
KegInTheCloset will drop down into the Mafia fight as Iceman about to make his way to the back of Mire.
Pooflo G struggling a little bit with the icebreaker. There, he finally gets it. And now greycorvid is inside Turtle Rock. Over here on the right-hand side, he will see this mirror. Does he tell KegInTheCloset to come up here, get this mirror, and they can check the mirror checks? Or does this incentivize them to get into Eastern Palace, where that ice rod is?
Yeah, the more time they spend on just looking around mirror checks, the more that they're leaving out that ice rod. All right.
There's mirror for greycorvid. Does he stay in? He's staying in.
Hmm. This, in greycorvid's perspective, this is to try and find an ice rod.
Yep. Little does he know, he's not going to find it here. Nice NMG strats there for Iceman on the Vitreous fight. Down to 2 hearts, so he's going to keep a distance. finishes off the fight. KegInTheCloset's going to pick up the Quake, which is not needed this seed. Pooflo G finishing up against the Cold Stare fight. And as pointed out in chat, what wound up happening, greycorvid with 3 hearts was exploring Eastern Palace early on. Got to the big key chest, tried to do the typical damage boost into the anti-fairies to get the switch going, got down to a heart, had to abandon the play, and then got bopped by an anti-fairy afterwards, which wound up claiming him, and the team hasn't been back to finish the dungeon ever since.
Yeah, and that play, that death was like literally fatal and also figuratively fatal.
KegInTheCloset. Flute out. Where are we going? Are we fluting to 5? We're fluting to 3.
Skullwood's play. Iceman will be entering Turtle Rock, get that mirror.
And they do have to make a return trip up to the mountain because Swamp Palace is a crystal. So I wouldn't be surprised if Iceman picks up this mirror, leaves, and then comes back in, because he's got to come up to the mountain anyways. Oh, pedestal here for KegInTheCloset.
This is a blind pull, knowing that you already have the 3 pendants.
And it's just rupees.
Yeah. From knowing that what we know, this couldn't have been anything.
But they don't know that.
They don't know
it.
We
are fluting to 5. So here we go. Oh, we're checking the green pendant first. Does KegInTheCloset go back into Eastern? Oh no! Oh! And you were fluting away because of that shovel.
The worst time to try and get a fetch quest item. It's right here.
What if this is the mushroom?
If this is the mushroom, this is even worse.
No, it's not. It's just a single rupee. KegInTheCloset. Flute to 5, please. No, that's a 1. Going to get that mirror out of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, oh wait a second.
Oh, he's fluting away again. Oh, 5. Here we go.
Okay. I was getting worried there.
Pooflo G fluting away after finishing off with his Skullwood's play. He's got Misery Mire and Desert. We'll do them back to back here. Iceman now about to get this mirror. Does he stay in here or does he go to Swamp Palace? Either would not be a bad decision at this point.
Though to Iceman get a mirror, this is only just the gift. Get Iceman into go mode, and there's really nothing else really to do from there. KegInTheCloset will at least be the one who will reveal that the ice rod is in Eastern. greycorvid looking to do the swamp play, which, I mean, that's fine.
You've got to do the dungeon anyways while you wait for your teammate to give you that information. And by the time that Grey Corvid activates the swamp sequence, Keg in the Closet will have the answer for him. Oh, now I guess we're going to go to Cave 45, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's more time away from having to clearing a dungeon. But
Have magic. That's an interesting find here. And it's only going to be Grey Corvid who finds this. Maybe Keg goes and gets it real fast, but I don't. You know, Poutine's not getting this. There's the ice rod for Keg in the Closet, and right now Grey Corvid is feeling sick.
Yes.
He could have had that 5 minutes into this seed.
Yeah, had Grey Corvid survived the hits or survived the oncoming attack from that anti-fairy, he would have had that ice rod in.
And that's been the entire theme of this seed. Once we saw Poutine get in there, saw that it was the ice rod, that was a very unfortunate death that turned out to be for Tipsy Tavern Toasters.
Okay. Keg is about to go ahead and pull this Armos fight. Grey Corvid is now into Swamp. You have to do this either way. At this point, Grey Corvid knows that he could just go milk this.
Yes.
It just feels unfortunate.
Yeah, you're not feeling good about missing behind the ice rod and now setting yourself up to have to go back through Turtle Rock, which is going to be a few minutes lost. It's not a massive time loss, but it is a time loss. But I think this is a case where once that bow was found, Keg in the Closet should have gotten back to Eastern Palace to figure out that was there.
Yeah, that was at that point the perfect opportunity to head back into Eastern as soon as you found the bow.
So taking a look at the Poutine right now with the pickup of the Misery Mire for Poolflow G, that is going to yield him the 6th dungeon complete, or 7th dungeon rather. Iceman just about to finish up with his 7th dungeon as well. Poolflow G's got a quick trip inside of this desert.
Yeah, all you really need to do is pick up that big key and you're just heading back into the back.
The one saving grace here for Tipsy Tavern Toasters is that Grey Corvid, when he returns back to the mountain, he's going back in to do Turtle Rock, then the Tower of Hera, then get into GT. So he's not like he's putting himself in a position where he's going to have to do another trip up the mountain. He was going to have to do another trip up the mountain no matter what.
Exactly. All right. Iceman is out of Turtle Rock with the crystal. Gonna head over to Desert.
Yep. And for Iceman, his dungeons that he needs to complete right now are quick dungeons. You've got Desert Palace, which you've already been into earlier, at least for Poolflow G. You have Tower of Hera, which is going to be a quick one with the Hera Pop, and then Swamp Palace, which is going to be a go straight to Argus. Do not collect $200, do not pass go.
Yeah, and this is the best situation for these two. They're now in their same dungeons. Poolflow G is ahead. And Iceman isn't too far behind.
So both Pool Flow G and Iceman at this point in time, they would love to get to GT at about the same time so they can split up who checks what inside of that dungeon. So greycorvid at this point is going to do Ice Palace. Then I see him doing Desert Palace. Then getting to Eastern, getting that Ice Rod. Probably make a few snarky comments about that big key chest. Then finish off with Turtle Rock before going into GT. KegInTheCloset has this to do, has to go back down the mountain, still has Mire to do, then Swamp Palace, and then Tower of Hair to wrap things up. There's the Crystal 4 Iceman, and it's pretty much, as pointed out by chat, it's going to be a race between Pool Float G and Iceman on who can get to GT first.
Yeah, and like I mentioned already, this is the best situation for Poutine, because they're pretty much just behind, like one is behind the other teammates. Like one team is behind the other one. So it going off of what we're seeing, this is going to be, I think, Pool Floats maybe heading into GT first, but who knows? Maybe Iceman does manage to catch up and he'll be the one to go to GT first.
While we've got a moment here, let's be sure to give our runners a follow. We have Pool Float G, Iceman F1, KegInTheCloset, and greycorvid. Also, big thank yous to Darity Peels and Clear Mouse who are on the tracking duty for this match. They've been clicking the buttons, making those icons appear, making those crystals and pendants appear, and all those other avatars that you see on your screen appearing as these runners pick these things up. Special also thanks to Artero, who is doing the restream here on the ALTTPR League for this match. And of course, Professor Render, it's been awesome here with you on this match.
Yeah, it's been great comment with you too.
Professor Renderer doing a lot of great work, making sure some of those daily races take place. We thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been putting a lot of work into this.
Absolutely. KegInTheCloset about to go to Trinex. Pool Float G heading to Argus. Iceman's not too far back, and greycorvid's trying to do the icebreaker. Having a little bit of difficulty trying to reset. Sometimes one-frame movements can be difficult. Finally gets it, though. Nice diver down there for Pool Float G. We'll get to see how Iceman's is coming up here in just a moment. A lot of great matches here in week number 1. Renderer, any that stick out at you?
Oh, it's so hard to pick out one. There was a lot. There was quite a there was a close race. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, as of this race being live.
I think the one that's probably the one that is the most eye-popping is the one that involves Scottish Braves team. That one came down to an average of 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was thinking about. That one was a very, very close race.
Go check that out over on the VODs if you have the opportunity to do so. What a match that turned out to be. Also, I'll give a quick shout out to my match earlier today, which was nice and close with everyone in GT at the same time. Kudos to Potato Pouch, who ended up taking that match.
Yeah, I did. I think catch that a little bit. It ended up being a close one. That that I can applaud.
Yeah. That one could have gone either way, but that was a disgusting C2. As we now see Poolfloat G getting himself aligned for the final part of this, getting a couple of potions. Now heading up to the mountain where Tower of Hera awaits. Now, normally we wait until the end of Tower of Hera to get some numbers in the chat, but because this is going to be a Tower of Hera that's going to take probably all of, about a minute 15 with the Hera pop, we're going to be going to GT shortly after that with the chance to pick some numbers.
Yeah, so I guess we could kind of just extend the time that you get your numbers in. So if you want to put a number between 1 and 22, go ahead and do so. And if you're the first one to get it, or is the closest to it, I'm going off of what was the time/robot rules. Then cool, good on you.
However, I don't think we're going to get to number 22, Renderer, because these two are close enough to the point that we're probably going to see them split up the duties so that it's not going to get all the way up to 22.
Yeah, this is definitely a case where even if because since they're so together and they're a team, they can at least relay where the big key is at. So because of that consideration, considering that Poolfloat is going to be the first one to head into Hera, for the moment we will be using Poolfloat G's perspective as the point where they are going to be, where the numbers are going to be counted up.
So let's see how Poolfloat G does with his Hera pot. Gets him trying to do the double tap right there. Didn't get. Now he does. There we go. Gets dropped down. Third try, I believe it was. So now he will go upstairs. This is why this dungeon was so short that we already did the GT spiel even before we got to GT. Because this is just going to be a 2 gold slash of a mold worm, and down he goes. That's 1. And 2. There we go.
As Moldorm is exploding on Poolfloat G side, Iceman is going to enter Hera. Gonna do the same thing.
Yep. Although it looks like he's going to be setting it up by way of doing the bomb strats here, the newer setup here, where you go right into the bomb. Perfectly done for Iceman.
The Lord Raiden has pretty much the definitive Hera pot that has been recently discovered.
Oh yeah, for certain. And you see how easy it was for Iceman to set it up there too.
Yeah, but only proves my point. This is pretty much the definitive one. It is the freest setup of all the Hera pods. Anyway, Poolfloat has now entered Ganon's tower. We're gonna go right first into Hope Room.
Yep, he's going to see if there's a key over here in the Hope Room, and then if there is, maybe they will split up the duties, or maybe they do decide to go Dark Magician. There is no key over here. So we're going to see one of these two runners probably do Dark Magician. The other one will likely go do full left unless we find the big key in the Staffos room.
We do see a small key on the torch, so that could lead to a move where you can have your teammates grab the torch and then head to full right. But we'll see how Iceman approached it.
I like the 9s in Iceman's numbers here. 999 rupees, 9 bombs, and 29 arrows. And he is going to mirror, and he is going to go to the right now. He knows he doesn't have to go to Hope Room. That was an unfortunate fall for Poolfloat G.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was. That's what I was thinking was going to happen. That's something that I think Poolfloat wanted to relay.
Map and compass changed positions. Poutine looking good to sweep their opening match 2 games to none. Oh, couple of bad moves there by Iceman. So he's going to have to do something different with the regards to how he gets this thing activated. Oh, he does have enough of that, but he won't have enough for one more hit. So this was the strat I always had to do as a kid. This is how I thought you were supposed to get it as a kid. You were supposed to throw bombs to that switch.
I mean, that at least that's the one thing that you could. It depends on how you think about the puzzle. That's it may not be the intended one, but it is a solution.
Yeah, it is. That's how I always thought you had to do it, though. So it is either at the ice armors or the big key is going to be... Ooh, Iceman taking a fall right there. Gonna go ahead and reset the room to prevent the floor from dropping. So it's either Bob's chest, the ice armors, or it is in the tile room.
So far, up to 14.
And Keg in the Closet, it's not too far back. Greycorvid down to his final dungeon. He's got a turtle rock to complete, and he's already done some of it already. He's gonna go pick up some potions before going into GT, though. Ice Armors down for Pool Float G. Bombs there. Red Rupee there. There's the big key. That's number 17. Nobody had 17. I'm sorry.
The closest one that, because I did say that it was I do say mention that it's the closest with closest one, the first one to get it or is closest to it. I will go off of Nustria's 15 as the definitive winner.
Closest without going over, indeed. So GG's. Iceman needs to go pick up a key before he makes his way upstairs, because you don't want to go up with 0 keys. Bad things happen when you go up with 0 keys.
Right, yeah. That's something to keep in. That's something to consider. As now Pool Float G and Iceman are now on their climbs.
Keg in the Closet looks like he is going to go pick up that half magic before he goes back up to the mountain. Gauntlet here for Pool Float G. And don't forget, we are not done just after Ganon's Tower. We still have Agate's Tower to go ahead and do. Which means we got one more guessing game for you all coming up in just a few.
Correct. And we'll explain that once we get up to the very top of Agate's Tower. Iceman will take a pit stop into the safety room.
Whose job is it to restock the safety room?
Ganon?
Ganon acts like the supervisor, where he's just looking out on the floor, but he's not doing anything.
I guess Agate 2? Agate 2?
Okay, Ganon looks like the general manager who's just sitting around doing nothing. Agate 2 is the supervisor that's watching around doing nothing, but looking like he's busy to appease to Ganon.
Then...
And no, not Moldorm 2, because Moldorm 2 is just chasing its tail.
Then it has to be Lamo 2, because he's the closest one down.
I have another answer for you, though.
But
The Igors.
Fair enough.
The Igors in the room before it.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
Keg in the Closet doing the hair pot. Good quick setup there with the dash speed. Iceman going against the second of the Wizrobe rooms, Poolfloat G climbing the tower. And there's nothing for these runners to look for. If you had a lesser sword at this stage, you probably would consider checking these in case it turned out to be a sword or maybe silver arrows. But in this case, there's no reason to check these checks.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to fluff. You're at any time at that point in time. The only reason why you would ever check the top 4 chests when you have this much equipment is for the sake of fluffing. And Poolfloat G does not feel like fluffing at all. He's got a race to win. Iceman has a race to win.
Both of these runners would like to go 2-0 in this division. You know, people talk about how difficult it's going to be in the Invitational League. These open divisions aren't going to be free at all.
Oh, no.
There's going to be some heavy hitters in some of these divisions.
Yeah. And it looks like, even though this is the first week, you got Poutine on my cheese stick is looking to be one to look out for in this Eastern Palace division.
Who else is in this division?
Let's see. We have It's Mitts with Miss Arcade, Falcon, and Slapshot Fred. Farm Friends with Tabby Cat 54, Wind Fox 470, and Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna. We have also Midness Malevolence with Black Wax, Cade Man, and Professor Pixie. Papagan Patrol with Pix, Agodi, and Split Happen. And then Taunt the Frog with Trip, Home Wrecker, and Aerodin.
And Taunt the Frog is the team that Poutine will be facing off coming up in week number 2. Week number 2 being the Invrosia mode. The Tipsy Tavern Toasters, they will be facing off against It's Mitts, who swept their series against Pepega Patrol, I guess it's pronounced. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Papaga Patrol.
Thank you very much. This is why do I turn to you for all the hot information here. It's been an eon since we've been on the microphone together.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's been quite a minute.
All right, so as we climb up the tower and we make our way to AGA 1, it's time to put a guess in the chat how many blue balls you believe AGA 1 will be dishing out to all 4 of these runners in this seed. So if you have a really, really good seed, it's 0. If you have a really awful seed, but yet you still get the free ones back to AGA, it's 15. If you have more than 15, well, maybe today's the day that you just go to bed early.
Yeah, this is 0-15, assuming everyone gets, assuming one runner manages to get a perfect on the red balls that AGA does fire.
Yes, the guaranteed ones every 5-cycle phase.
Yep, this is a simple cycle of a guaranteed blue ball on the first attack. The next 3 attacks being either it's a 50-50 between red ball and blue ball, and then the 5th one's a lightning attack, and then it restarts.
First one being red ball, not blue ball, as you said.
Well, yeah, that you knew what I meant.
I knew what you meant. I just had to clarify for those who are listening here. All right, Poolfloat G's at the cutscene.
Iceman will be joining Poolfloat in doing this AGA fight.
So there's the freebie right there. Now, how's the next stage going to be? Well, we're not getting 15. Darn. Okay, we're not getting that number either. It's a perfect first cycle, though. So, as long as things go well, It's either going to be 0, 1, 2, or 3. So there's the freebie there. So what are we going to get? Is this a 0? It's a 0. You all overbid. Erase those bids. Nobody go below. You can go no further below 0. Or keep those bids above 0, whatever, I don't know. Who cares?
Whatever.
Whatever.
Well, all we really need to know is that this is pretty much the ideal situation.
All right,
for
there is
team.
the first stage there. Pool Float G opting to go with the swinging or the spin stretch there. Gold Sword doing the spin does no extra damage to Ganon. Wants to be careful with his health though. Down to 2. Goes grabs the blue goo. Goes ahead and swallows it. Hey, Zeruvian is now the winner with the guessing game with a -1. How about that, Renderer?
I mean, I made my amusement made a parrot in the chat.
LUL indeed.
All right.
So, Pool Float G getting into stage 3, about to go into stage number 4. 4 silver arrows will go ahead and take care of this Bacon Fest for today. Doesn't get the torch glitch, but who really cares? Get him set up in a nice position. Now you can launch him with a few arrows. 1, 2, and 3. That is it. Pool Float G, the first one done with a seed. Get a G in chat for Pool Float G.
Yep. This will get any official time here. Just a minute.
Oh, Iceman has to be a little careful. As the torches go out, we'll have to get them relit. Gets them set up. We'll have a double coming up here from Ganon coming up here. Gets one more off. Needs to go ahead and relight the torches. Final swing over. There it is. Silver arrow. And Iceman F1 has completed the seed as well. Now is the time to get those GGs in the chat for You Got Poutine on My Cheesesteak. They have won this week 1 match. They have swept Tipsy Tavern Toasters.
Yep. Official times will be Poo Float G coming in first with a time of 1:30:50. Iceman F1 coming in second with 1:31:34. And as you mentioned, that's more than enough for them to take the win, take the sweep, and start off the season with 6 points.
And I do believe we have the sounds of a Pool Float G and an Iceman F1 in chat. So welcome and GGs.
GG, thank you.
Thank you. GG.
So what were your thoughts overall about this seed?
Pretty friendly. I didn't like so much the bow-locked hammer to have this is a really weird, awkward route to get to pod, but once we found that, I felt pretty good about our routing at that point.
So talk to me about your decision there. You wound up deciding to abandon your play of that Palace of Darkness at that point after you found that hammer. What led into your decision to do so?
I think it was because I didn't have the bow, so I couldn't full clear it. So it, to me, didn't make a lot of sense to continue looking for a possible item and then have to come back, beat the dungeon. I'd rather just leave, clean up a bit of stuff that I knew I needed to do, and then come back with hammer after. Come back with bow after and beat it at that point. We were also not looking for that many more items, so I figured it was a safe bet to keep clearing. To do some cleanup.
So I'm sure by now you've heard the story about what wound up happening this seed.
Sounds like Gray died. Gray died to get the ice rod, and took them a while to get to that.
It took them pretty much forever to get back to Eastern, as greycorvid ended up with 3 hearts trying to tackle off Eastern Palace. Was down to a heart, tried to avoid the anti-fairies when they dispersed away from the switch, and wound up taking one to the face, and they just did not return when they got the bow.
Which is
That's
understandable. There's only the one item left in there. They had a lot of other places they could look.
As we do see Tipsy Tavern Toasters now mirroring, and they're going to be going up the Agate Tower as well. Nice 0 blue balls. Were you getting nervous at the later stages of this run about where your team may stand as far as this race was concerned?
I know I was.
100%.
Yeah. And especially like I know, and I know as I've mentioned before, I don't look at the race room while I'm streaming. Like it's there, but it's buried behind either OBS or my tracker or something. And so especially because of going to TR when I did and finding that mirror for what was then go mode, provided we didn't need Quake. At that point, once I saw we hit go mode around like 51, 52 minutes, I mean, that's when the heart rate started going up. and then I could feel it in my throat by the time Aga 1 was there. So
I can feel you with that as well, and I'm sure Renderer can as well.
Definitely, yeah. It was at least something interesting, that the logic that led you to Dark World access, which was you had to get that lamp, which was from the front of Eastern, to
Yep.
lead to Flippers up to the up at the mountain, and then that was and that led you to Myths from there.
Yep, and that's why when Pool Flow got mid sequence broken, I'm like, no, we at least for a bit have to follow this logic to see what is it, because it could have been, for all we know, it could have been Hammer up on the mountain or something, and then somewhere in Dark World led to the Flippers for the Myths.
yeah.
But we had to figure out what our logical Dark World was, and then once we had that, I think it just all fell into place from there.
Which does then explain the reason why you did not go to grab those mitts before you went up to the mountain to when you were checking East Death Mountain to lump that together with Dark Death Mountain.
Yep, because I could have sequence broke, but I figured we needed to get the Flippers later at some point. Let's just find out what our Dark World axis is, and then go from there.
How do you feel you two split up your duties in this seed?
I think very well.
Yeah, we had some required overlap early on because I didn't have enough to do mini Moldorm right away. I couldn't kill them, so I had to go over, get the hook shot, and do some overlap in Kakariko. But overall, I think we did a good job avoiding overlaps. Like for example, when you saw, when I did the Kern jump to get over to Pod, because we already knew where the Flippers were at that point, but that was literally the only thing on the mountain. So for me, it's like, I'm just going to do the Kern jump and I'll get the Flippers when I go up the mountain. I wasn't going to take time, I wasn't going to waste time going all the way to East Death Mountain for one item just to then, speed something, potentially save some time later. So, it was, I think, with the shortcuts we took, once we had the knowledge, I think we did a really good job of not overlapping each other.
So, to Iceman, were you worried at any point that ether that was in the brewery was going to come back to haunt you?
Where that
Kind of,
was?
because when I got
forgot
powder
where it
and I'm
was.
like, I've got 2 of the 3 medallions. I'm gonna go check Meyer, and Wolfield's like, what about ether? I'm like, what do you mean ether? Where was ether?
Oh no!
So once I
completely
saw
forgot
Bomb, I'm
where it
like,
was.
forget about ether. We're good. We're in go mode. I don't care about where ether is anymore. I don't need it. But there was that small amount of panic because I only had the one. I guess we were talking about a couple of things at the same time, and I didn't acknowledge ether, so I didn't even realize it was there for a while until he mentioned it. But it all worked out.
That explains why you didn't return to the brewery.
When I was going up into Thieves Town after I got the hammer, because that was one of the other reasons. I'm like, I'll go south route up to event and then do Skullwoods and figure out what's in the big chest of thieves. I said, okay, I'm in village. Cool Float reminds me to do hammer pegs, and I said, is there anything else in the village? No. Okay, and clearly there was.
But it didn't harm you this time around. Do want to interrupt
Exactly.
here. Get your G's in chat for greycorvid, who has now finished off this seed for Tipsy Tavern Toasters. And now stage 4 coming up here for Keg in the Closet, about ready to finish things up themselves. So real fast before we get this seed finished off for these two. Next week, Invrosia, who's going for your team?
Me and Pool Float. Sounds
Yeah.
like Pool Float has Tuesday, and mine's not 100% decided yet.
Nice. And there's Keg in the Closet getting the final hit on Gannon. Get your GGs in the chat for Tipsy Tavern Toasters as they finish off this seed.
Yep. Official times will be greycorvid with a 1:39:01 and Keg in the Closet with a 1:39:40. Also, really quick in my notes, it says, "What does poutine on cheesesteak taste like?"
Amazing.
Delicious, I would assume.
Yes.
As we
okay.
welcome in the sounds of Keg in the Closet and greycorvid into the conversation. GG's to you
GG.
two.
GG. Congratulations, Iceman. Pool float.
Yep.
Very well done.
Thank you.
At least it was a nice friendly seed. Relatively.
It wasn't friendly when I died trying to get that ice rod. That's for sure. Oh,
yeah, that anti-fairy that hit you right in the face was very, very unfortunate. And
sniped me.
about another 7 minutes later, we just learned how very unfortunate it actually turned out to be. And
Yeah.
that really was the theme of this race.
Okay, so I guess
Yeah.
you guys you rushed Eastern right away, and
Yeah,
so it took us a while to get there.
Because I had money in Link's house. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll just check
that makes
floating.
sense.
Lake Hylia Island, buy bombs, Saha, Eastern Palace, see what's in there. Lamp, nice, okay, good. And then I'll go get nope. Died. Sylvie. Which forced us to double dip TR. Or me to
Those
double dip TR.
Those staffos did a pretty solid job avoiding your bombs too.
Yo, God, they're just like expert dodgers of explosive weaponry. Whatever. All good. All good.
Yeah.
Outside of that, how well do you believe your team worked on this seed, keeping each other separate, doing things like that?
Pretty good in keeping each of us separate and whatnot. I can't think of anything particular.
I did like meeting up at Hype Cave. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. We both met
It
up at
ended
Hype
up working
Cave.
out though.
Yeah, that worked out nicely.
Yeah,
that was humorous.
If that wasn't anything important there, it was, and we were making a comment about how you both were kind of together at that stage. It was rather unfortunate that you both were together. It did pay out with the fact that you did find your Canis and Maria there. You both ended up finding something that Poutine did not find, which was well, actually two things. First, the cape that was the cape that was in the Tower of Hera, and also that magic that was in K45.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, because mirror was our go, so we had no reason to check any of those.
Yeah, I assumed mirror would have been your go as soon as we found out where Ice Rod was. It's like, no, mirror's probably their go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was it is. I can't think of anything too particular about this.
So next week, you all will be getting ready for your next match here in Ambrosia. Any plans for your team at this point?
I am not doing the Ambrosia. That'll be Keg and DFS. We'll be doing for us.
As you face off against its Mitts in a battle of the 2-0s. Or the battle against 2-0, that is.
Okay.
You're gonna be like us 2-0? Yeah, that's very sweet of you. Thank you. Yeah, should still be good.
Chance to rebound in Ambrosia, and then we'll get to see how you guys do in casual boots coming up in week 3.
Yeah, Ambrosia can be a bit wacky.
Yeah.
Because we've all been playing some Ambrosia seeds, so that can be a bit wacky. So depending on when you get light world access, can really dictate how well you're doing.
And then there are times when that could just be absolutely rude, and you won't get that access for a while.
Yes, I've had Moon Pearl on on the Sick Kid or Moon Pearl on Bottle Vendor or some other choice locations for Moon Pearl
The
in Light World.
the Nightmares of Champions over there in Ambrosia. We'll get to see that coming up here next week.
Yes.
Any closing thoughts for your team, Tipsy Tavern Toasters?
No, I don't think so. I thought Keg and I did a good job and stuff. GG's again to Poutine on Cheesesteak. Congratulations.
Yeah, GG's.
And
Yep,
look
GG.
forward to our future matches here for the coming weeks.
Absolutely. Let's give it up for both of these teams. You got Poutine on my cheesesteak and Tipsy Tavern Toasters. Week 2 in Ambrosia coming up here for both of these teams starting on Monday. Professor Redder?
All I really gotta say is just it was a really good race. Again, just congratulations to Poutine for taking the 2-0, and we'll see how you fare in the upcoming weeks.
So with that being said, be sure to give our runners a follow. Pool Float G, Iceman F1, Keg in the Closet, and greycorvid. Also, big thank yous to Darity Peels and Clear Mouse for doing the tracking for this match, and a big thank you as well to Artero, who's been running the restream in the background. If it wasn't for all of you, this stream would not be possible. So, big thank you to you all. Be sure to check out ALTTPRLeague.com for more information about the league and also the upcoming schedule for the matches, which will continue with more co-op opens or co-op all dungeons coming up here tonight and tomorrow as well. So thank you for joining all of us here. Professor Renderer, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure as well.
With that being said, I'm Adirondack Rick saying thank you and have yourselves a good night. And until next time.
Take it easy.